Hey, what is up guys? My name is Ryan with Pool Party Cards, and today I want to talk about the 5 things that I wish I knew before investing or collecting in sports cards. So I'm sure I can add another 50 things to this list, but I tried to be as precise as possible with the 5 things that applied to newer collectors/investors. Keep in mind these are in absolutely no particular order, and I think that they all can be valuable, and also there may be a lot of other tips out there. So if you're a more experienced person, comment below what else I may be missing in this video. If you're newer to the hobby, don't be afraid to shoot your question down below or email us at poolpartycards@gmail.com, and we would love to answer your questions for you. Also, real quick before I jump into this video, please give this video a thumbs up and also subscribe to the channel if you like sports card content. We do all kinds of videos like how-tos, some openings. We have a card shop in Northeast Ohio, so we'll do some tours and things like that. So stay tuned if you enjoy that type of content. Okay guys, let's not waste any more time. Let's jump into number 1, and that is that opening sealed sports cards is the absolute worst way to obtain product. That is something that I wish I knew when I just got into it, because it's very easy to get wrapped up into breaks, be buying boxes retail or online and ripping open stuff. And while it's super fun and I totally still enjoy that, I'm sure a lot of you guys do also, it is not the cheapest way to obtain product. In fact, it is by far the most expensive way to buy product. Unless you get like crazy lucky and you hit an insane card, you're most likely going to be backwards. And for all those people that hit crazy multi-$1,000 cards, a lot of them have spent far more than that, in some cases 10 or 20 times more than that, to obtain that card. So don't get FOMO, and don't think that you need to be opening wax in order to obtain product. There's plenty of other ways to get it, including buying at shows, buying on eBay, buying on sites like Whatnot, getting creative and buying on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Again, being careful there. I may go over some tips on that in the future, but just essentially buying outside of opening sealed is a great place to start. And as a little side tip, whenever you get really good at buying, you're going to start being able to buy on a margin. So whether you're paying 60 or 70% comps, even if you're doing it as a collector instead of a dealer, that's a great way to get cards that you're going to end up PCing, but you're getting them for 60 or 70% of what they actually go for currently. Meaning in the long run, if they double or triple in value, you have just that extra part on the in terms of margin that you can tack on to your profit if that's what you're trying to do. If you're just keeping it for yourself, then it's more advantageous because you can buy more for less money essentially. Jumping into tip number 2 is do not use binders almost under any circumstance. They are the worst way to keep your cards other than keeping them loose and raw, because that is also a really bad way to keep them. But what I would recommend you guys, if you already have a binder full of cards, unless they're commons and some low-rent cards, to take them out of there, because it's a good way to damage them, and put them into penny sleeves, which you can get really cheap, especially if you ever buy a case of them. You can get them on sites like Cardboard Gold, and you can get them pretty cheap. Now, if you're just trying to buy a pack here or there, you can probably get it at your local card shop. Also, for some of your better cards, including maybe better rookies or some shorter print cards, things like that, more than $5 or $6, you want to put them all into top loaders. They do make a wide variety of top loaders in terms of sizes, so you can go anywhere from a 30-point to multi-100-point top loaders, and obviously the larger the point, the larger the thickness of the card. And of course you don't want to be shoving really thick cards into smaller top loaders, so try to be careful when inserting them into the top loaders. But I also do want to emphasize to not overuse supplies. I think some people get caught up in protecting every single card, even when it's commons. And what a lot of times you end up doing if you're top loading every single card is you're wasting more money on supplies than the cards are actually worth, which is not a good solution either. So you definitely just want to protect your better cards, and some of the lesser important cards, including commons and maybe even some of the lesser known rookies, can just be left out or maybe sleeved. So either however you want to do that's kind of up to you, but try to just play the middle somewhere and just keep your better cards protected. Can't tell you how many times people bring cards to us in shop, and they bring us multi-$100 cards that are either not top loaded, not sleeved, shoved into a top loader that's way too thin for them, meaning they're damaging the corners. So there's a lot of different things people do that they just don't understand. And that's also included with binders. Do not keep your cards in binders, almost under any circumstance. Jumping into number 3, another thing that I really wish I knew before jumping into sports cards, specifically sports cards, and this also applies to Pokemon also, but is how to identify different subsets, variants, whether or not a card's silver. That was a big thing that I just didn't understand for quite a while, was like, what's the difference between a Prism and a Prism, right? Because you have Prism as a set, right? You have Panini's Prism set, and then you have a card that is a Prism. So they don't make it very easy for new people to understand, so I can see how it can get discouraging And that's kind of how I felt when I jumped into it. I was buying cards that were a Prism set thinking that they were silver, but in reality they were just base, and I can see where the confusion lies there. So we're going to do a future video on different subsets and things to pay attention to when it comes to refractors and short prints that I don't think gets covered enough on YouTube. I've never seen a video on it. So if you guys do have a video or you know of a video that is like that, please comment it down below so people can research that. I can't go too deep into it or it'll take us an extra 10 or 15 minutes in this video, and I just don't think we have the time. But in a future video, if there's a need for it, we will make one. So basically the tip there is to spend more time learning, more time absorbing information, and less time spending money. It's okay to spend money, of course, and get burnt. It does happen. It's part of the game, especially when you're just starting out. But I do encourage you, instead of early on spending money like I did, which I spent thousands of dollars just to kind of learn, but you could do it for free, or you could do it very cheaply, and it doesn't need to be so expensive. So I do encourage you to absorb as much information as you can, just talking to people at your local card shop, at local shows, talking to people on eBay or YouTube, and just kind of learning, and you'll slowly build up knowledge over time. That's definitely the best way to learn. But to accelerate that, don't be afraid just to absorb information at the beginning, and you can probably keep your wallet closed for a little while. That's what I would recommend at the very least. So the fourth tip I have, and the fourth thing I wish I knew before jumping into sports cards, specifically when at shows, is you should comp everything. Anytime you're buying a card for more than $5 or $10, it is completely okay to comp it. And even if it isn't worth that much, you should comp basically anything you want and never feel like you can't comp something because of the pressure the dealer or the owner of the shop or whoever it may be is putting on you. You're completely allowed to double check to make sure that that card makes sense at that price. Anyone who doesn't like that is normally trying to get one over on you. Also, people, it's kind of a little side note here, some people like to go by the Beckett value or the Beckett book. And while that was a good source back in the day, it is no longer a very valuable source when you have an active market like eBay. And I do know a few people that still use it and they abide by it. And that's totally fine, but as a newer person in the hobby, I do encourage you to do your research, especially anytime you're buying a bigger card. Do not be afraid to bust out your phone, check comps, and make sure that that price makes sense. You know, if a dealer is pushing against that, they're most likely trying to possibly get one over on you, and I would encourage you to walk away or make sure that price makes sense. And number 5, and possibly the most important tip, is to avoid what you do not know. For us personally, we've gotten burnt plenty of times on buying trim cards, buying resealed packs, buying cards that we otherwise didn't know about, taking a chance and getting burnt in the long run. So I encourage you, especially if you're looking at it as an investment or kind of to resell, you want to make sure that anytime you're buying something, you have some level of knowledge, if not a deep knowledge and understanding of what that card or pack may be. You can easily get burnt pretty badly if you're buying things that you're not knowledgeable about. And it's not to say that in the future you can't buy those things, but it's recommended, at least by me, to try to stay away from those things, at least temporarily. And with that being said, if you're just a collector, the one thing, and I think this is the most important tip out of anything anyone could ever tell you, is as a collector, it is important to collect what you like. There's no right or wrong way to collect. There is no one can tell you, right, how to collect. That's the fun part about this hobby. It is completely up to you as the collector to do whatever you want, build sets, collect a certain player, collect a certain team. You know, for me personally, I love Kobe Bryant. I love the Cleveland Browns and the Cavaliers. So those are the things I collect. But I can completely, we've seen people walk into our shop with so many different sorts of collections, and it's amazing to see. And that's probably the best part about the hobby. So I'd really encourage you guys, if you're a collector, do whatever feels right to you and whatever you enjoy. And again, there's no right or wrong way to do it. That's about all I got for you guys in this video. Thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe to the channel if you enjoy it. And also give it a thumbs up. We appreciate it very much. And I'll see you guys next time.